I've been told on more than one occasion that I'm a grazer, that I'm juvenile, that I have poor eating habits, right? And this stuff really bothered me. I never considered my eating habits a problem, but apparently other people had. I spent the last 20 years making peace with myself and with my food and eating choices. The truth is, we have to make choices that work best for us, right? That's what it comes down to. Around our eating, around our health, around our wellness, we have to make choices for us. No judgment and no guilt. My name is Christy Ware. I am a core rehab specialist, nutrition coach, and strength trainer. And I have something I want to share with you. I've been working on for the past couple of months. I've been putting it together. It's really close to me because it's something that I have been challenged with over my lifetime. And so I've created a guide that I want to share with you. So stick around till the end and I'll share a little bit more on that. Thanks for being here, Kim. So I'm curious, would you consider yourself an emotional eater? You can put a like or a heart in the comments here. You can drop a comment to me. Are you someone who eats because of your emotions? Do your emotions trigger you to eat? Guess what? Eating is emotional, right? There's a lot of attachment or emotions to our eating. And, we are hardwired as humans to have a reaction to food, to have a reaction to eating, right? It creates emotion in us. That's totally innate. But there's sometimes that we feel these emotions are happy emotions, they're positive. And then other times they're negative, right? And just listing off a few positive ones. When we make a meal for our family and we all sit down at the table, it creates this sense of happiness in us, accomplishment, achievement, if you will, right? We're taking care of others. Maybe you're dropping food right now to loved ones who can't get out, or neighbors, right? How does that make us feel? It makes us feel really good, right? Maybe you're sitting down to a meal that you made for yourself and you're feeling really well nourished because you know what you're eating is what your body needs and it feels really good, right? We put all these connections to food and how it makes us feel. What about when you go to a potluck and everyone brings something and there's a sense of community, the sense of connection, right? Which many of us are missing right now. I get that. This is a really challenging time. We're missing a lot of that connection and food brings us together, right? And so those are the good feelings that we get from food. What about that ice cream cone that you eat? And suddenly it brings you back to when your childhood, when you had ice cream cones with your family, right? That's a big one for me. And so, I feel like food, and maybe you'll agree with me, that food, is like music or it's like smells. It triggers us to go back to those feelings that we've had when we heard that music previous or when we experienced that smell, maybe as a child or as a teenager, right? It brings us right back. Well, food does the same. And that's why there's things like comfort foods. People talk about comfort foods because they take us back to those times of comfort, right? And that's the emotion that's attached to food. And then, of course, we have the flip side, like everything, right? We have the other side, the negative emotions that we are charged with around food. So things like, guilt because of the food choices that we make, right? That's a big one. What about our body, right? We have shame around food that we put in our body and we feel bad after we eat it. Maybe we know we shouldn't have had it or that wasn't the best choice, but we ate it. And then we feel guilty. We feel shame. What about embarrassment around the amount of food that we might eat at a gathering or in front of family, right? And we feel embarrassed that we were able to eat that much, or maybe someone said something to us, right? Again, a negative emotion to food, a negative reaction. And then what about people that feel ill when they eat certain things? Maybe they've got lactose intolerance like my wife, or maybe like me, I don't do well with soy or wheat. And we feel bad saying something to someone, oh, I can't have that. Like we feel like we're that person, right? We don't want to be annoying or cause any trouble for anybody. So we feel bad. So that becomes a negative emotion that we attach to our eating, right? If you're feeling me here and you're getting some of this, please give me some likes. Put something in the comments. Let me know how this is feeling for you because this stuff is real, right? This is stuff we deal with all the time. You can see how closely food is related to our emotions, right? And that's okay. I'm not asking you to change that, nor would we, right? We want to have emotion when we eat. We want to have emotional connection to food. That's totally fine. What I am really here to talk to you about today is the connection between something that so many people seem to struggle with, evening snacking, and our emotions, right? The triggers that happen when the evening hits, right? So that's the big topic of today. I want to specifically dive into that as it relates to our eating and our emotions. So, food can be a way to self-soothe for many people, and it's also a really easy way to distract ourselves from other things that we might be feeling, right? It takes place of something else. It's making up for something that's not there. So what I wanted to share with you, and one of the biggest triggers, for us, Kim's sharing with me, my biggest problem, okay, evening snacking, right? So many people, that time frame between after dinner and when we go to bed, the house gets quiet, the kids are in bed if you've got little ones at home, things change. It's after dinner, we're feeling like, oh, we're going to fall into old habits because that's what we've always done, right? That's easy. It's a trigger. And so we end up falling into these patterns that we maybe don't want to because they're not really serving us, but we haven't figured out how to change them, right? So that's really what I wanted to talk to you about. And I've created a guide that does just that, offer you body positive solutions to evening snacking, right? That we can change those patterns and replace them with things that are more positive towards our health and our wellness and that we feel good doing, right? So we're not carrying that shame and that guilt. And one of the questions I've grappled with for years is, why do so many of us struggle with food guilt, like judgments and labels and shame around eating, right? I've sat with this question. I'm like, what is this about? And for some of us, we know what it's about. It could be from our childhood. It could be, things that our family said. Maybe our parents were dieters and we watched that happen. We watched those cycles. Maybe it was something that was said to us as a teenager, that we were overweight or we had too big of hips or we didn't eat enough or we ate too much, right? They're all these things we end up holding on to, right? And then they trigger us to eat or not eat, depending on the situation, right? What I'm asking you to do, and one of the tips I'm going to give you here is, what if we took a little more focus and, we started eating more mindfully, right? We started really slowing down and checking in, tuning into our emotions, figuring out what's triggering us, reaching for other satisfying activities or things that are going to make us feel good that will accomplish the same feeling that we get from food that we eat, right? We want to take that feeling. What are we looking for? Are we lonely? Are we feeling like we deserve a reward? Are we stressed out and overwhelmed? Well, what do we need to do to get ourselves out of that and to feel good, right? We want to attach something else to that other than food. And so that is what my guide is all about, is to show you different ways that we can make that happen. 90% of the clients that I coach, friends, family, right, they tell me that the evening is the most challenging time of day for them. They stick to their healthy habits all day long. They get up in the morning, maybe they do a workout routine, they do some yoga, some stretching, and then they carry on their day. They're out at the office or they're working, whatever it is they're doing. They're feeling great, and they get home, and after dinner, the evening hits, and they find it super challenging to stick to those habits, right? 90% of the people that I work with tell me this. So what did I do? I wanted to create something for you guys that would help you get through that time, that felt good, right? I want body positive solutions to this common trigger. So that is what I created for you. I'm all about kicking back and unwinding, but what I find is that when we kick back and unwind with things that we're trying to accomplish, self-soothing with something that is sabotaging our health and wellness, we don't end up feeling great in the end anyway, right? We want to do things that we feel good about and we go to bed feeling good about and we wake up the next day and it carries through, right? And so that's really what I was here to chat with you about. Things happen in the evenings. Most of us end up resorting back to old habits, right? Cravings creep in. If we're, commonly have sweet cravings or salty cravings, those are the times that we end up falling into that old pattern, right? Our associations with food, right, happen during the evening when we're alone. We impulsively eat or we mindlessly eat, especially if we sit in front of the TV. Really easy to do that, right? And just watching how we do things and what we're doing. So what I want you to do, or what I'm asking you to do, is to check out my guide. The link is in the description of this live stream. It's also in the comments below. It's a free guide. It basically walks you through 5 major triggers that might be causing you to mindlessly evening snack, and 3 different body positive solutions to take care of you that will feel great, right? That will replace those feelings, things you can do to help you get through your evening. So please, if you could hit the share button, share this around with your friends and family, anyone you think would benefit from watching this video, from getting that guide. Again, it's called the Snacking Survival Guide. And I'm so happy that you're here and you caught this video. And yeah, I really appreciate it. Get the guide. Let me know how it goes, and have a wonderful day and wonderful evening making body positive change.